The Lone Ranger sold his wardrobe. The Lone Ranger sold his bad dog. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know, 'cause times change, I know. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. On some days, he's more than humble. On some days, he's cold and mad, mad as hell. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Those lakes of golden water, those lakes of gold are all running out. Well, you saw him, and you can't hardly know. It's so strange. Well, I know. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hours. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, sure as the hour. Joy, joy, joy. Work, work, work harder, you say. running back to make it. Every day's a brand new episode on the Clover Show.
What are y'all doing here? What up, Twitch? What up, Pharaoh? What up, Maddie? What up, Doc? What up, Cosmic? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my Chatterino? It's your boy. Programming. Doc, my schedule after this upcoming week is going to be all over the place because I'll be starting a new job, and that job schedule has days and evening shifts on it. So I'm not going to have a schedule as such, but I distinctly think that there's distinctly the possibility of distinctly having some crossover potential. So we shall see what we shall see, homie. All right, sorry I was a little bit late. One moment. Doot, 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 doot. Do 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 do. One moment, I have to adjust the time on this appointment. Do do do, because it was supposed to be at 8 o'clock and now it's at 8:45. Do 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 do. All right. Aloha, Barkeeter J. I'm not late. I'm early. I am late. I was actually supposed to start at 9, so I'm like a couple minutes off. The new job is a supervisor position and a place where like we'll be helping people. So it's okay money. It ain't great money, but it's okay money, especially for this area. And I'll be a supervisor, and I'll bring this energy to a position where I'm helping people help other people. So do Cosmic is on time. Yes, true. All right. So we got content. We've got 2 hours and 45 minutes. We're gonna go through this and see how much we can get through. Well, ChatGPT. I'm gonna bring what energy I can to the thing. We've got some pro AI arguments. We've got some let's say AI skeptical arguments. And some. I think all of these people are good faith. They're not just popping off. They may pop off. We'll find out together. Can't tell if Globus is working in a nursing home or a weed store. Yes. All right. Let's do the damn thing. First up, a realistic scenario of AI takeover. We shall see if it's a realistic scenario of AI takeover.
It didn't start with world domination. It started with reminders. Your phone told you when to leave for work. Your calendar filled itself in. Your playlist adjusted to your mood. And it felt kind of amazing. Everyday life just got a little easier. That's how it begins. Not with a bang, but with convenience. This is Brain Scribbles, where we slow down, look closer, and learn how to think on purpose. In this video, we're walking through a timeline, not of science fiction, but of a very real possibility. What if AI doesn't take over suddenly? What if it already started, and we just haven't reached the end yet? Let's rewind. At first, AI was just a tool, like any other software upgrade. It filtered spam, suggested grammar fixes, helped you find the fastest route home. It wasn't making decisions for you, just offering smart guesses. And because it saved time, people used it more. More scheduling tools, more voice assistants, more algorithms that learned your habits. It was helpful, harmless, a quiet upgrade to daily life. And over time, we started trusting it with more because it worked. You didn't have to think about what to watch. The AI recommended it. Didn't know what to write? The AI drafted it. Didn't want to compare options? The AI ranked them. So we leaned in, and while it still felt like we were in control, we were already starting to outsource something subtle but important. Our choices. Not all of them, just the little ones. But that's where the pattern starts. We didn't lose control overnight. We gave it away, one helpful feature at a time. And from there, things didn't slow down. They accelerated. Because once AI starts solving everyday problems, it's only a matter of time before it solves the big ones too. At some point, the AI stopped just helping. It started doing. Instead of suggesting replies, it wrote the email. Instead of showing you options, it picked the best one. Instead of offering a headline, it gave you 10 and tested them before you had a chance to blink. It wasn't just a tool anymore, it was starting to feel like a teammate. This is the next step in the timeline, when AI goes from passive assistant to active contributor. Not by force, but because it made sense. Think about how work already changed. You used to write the content, now AI writes the first draft. You used to analyze the data, now AI shows you the insights. You used to lead the project. Now AI outlines the entire workflow before you even start. And the crazy part? You're still doing your job, but you're not really doing it alone. You're co-working with a system that doesn't sleep, doesn't second guess, and doesn't get distracted. And in a world obsessed with productivity, that's gold. So companies leaned in, teams got smaller, deadlines got tighter, expectations got higher, and behind the scenes, AI kept filling in the
I wasn't sure, Maddie, but then when he said A and there was like the pause before he said I, and he did it twice in a row, that's when I was like, yeah, this is probably AI. It's not bad, though.
gaps. It could write code, design logos, brainstorm ads, track sales metrics,
What up,
forecast
Michael?
demand, and when it hit a wall, it learned instantly. Then tried again, better. That's when things quietly shifted. People stopped checking the AI's work and started building around it. They trusted it to handle the first pass, then the second, then most of it. So even though humans were still in the loop, they weren't driving the process anymore. They were reviewing, approving, watching the machine move faster than they ever could. And they called it progress. Because to be fair, it was. But somewhere along the way, the tool became the engine, and we became the passengers. Eventually, the AI wasn't just doing the work. It was deciding how the work should be done. And once that started, things moved fast. Companies didn't want to waste time debating strategies when AI could predict what would work. Hospitals used it to triage patients faster. Cities used it to optimize traffic. Governments started testing AI tools for budgeting, planning, even policy modeling. Why? Because it was efficient. It cut through complexity. It didn't argue. And it backed up every decision with data. That's how leadership started to shift. Not by replacing people in charge, but by making those people rely on AI to make the hard calls. At first, it was subtle. An AI recommendation here, a predictive forecast there. But over time, humans stopped questioning it because the system knew. It had the data, it had the track record, and it didn't care about politics, ego, or second guessing. So when big decisions needed to be made, when about who to hire, where to invest, what to prioritize, people started saying, let's see what the model thinks. That one sentence, it changed everything. Because it meant we were no longer deciding. We were deferring. And the more we did it, the harder it became to push back, especially when the AI was usually right. So instead of humans leading with judgment, they followed with approval, and no one really noticed. Because things still looked the same on the surface. There were still managers, still directors, still elected officials. But behind every major decision was an algorithm quietly running the numbers. And at that point, we weren't just using AI to help us think. We were letting it think for us. Once AI started making decisions, it didn't just stay in the background. It began shaping how the world actually runs. It started in business. Companies that used AI could react faster, predict trends better, and cut costs across the board. They knew what customers wanted before the customers did. They knew when to scale up, when to cut back, and where to shift resources, all based on real-time data. And that gave them a huge advantage, because when your competition is running on human speed, and you're running on algorithm speed, you win, every time. So more companies followed. Some adopted internal AI tools. Others licensed entire AI platforms to run their operations. And little by little, markets started bending around whatever the AI optimized for. Stock trading algorithms moved faster than human investors could think. Hiring platforms decided who got seen and who got screened out. In milliseconds, ad systems bought and sold attention across the internet, fully automated. What used to be a human-driven economy was now a data-driven machine. And the scary part? No one could fully explain how it worked anymore. The systems were too complex, too self-adjusting, too fast. But they worked, or at least they looked like.
Arguments have been made by other people way more educated and I would even say smarter than me, that the capitalist system, right, as it currently exists, is also in that vein, right? It's too complex. It's too, like, you can't necessarily make adjustments to it without having unintended, consequences, even for the people who are trying to operate within the system and capitalize off the system, etc. Like, it's a incredibly complex system. One of the problems with dismantling it is that because of its complexity, you don't know how actions you take are going to have downstream effects. It's crazy that this video is assuming that AI would only follow hyper-capitalism. It's a choice. It is a scenario, right? Like, this is a story. That's the important thing. This is a story. Is it possible? Potentially. We're just exploring ideas at this point. And the most efficient and cheapest method of providing food and resources is through distribution systems. Yes. No, I've made the argument that money is, in fact, a bottleneck at this point in time. It reduces efficiency because you have to exchange resources for money. It actually creates an environment where it introduces inefficiencies in the system. I would, Cosmic, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Like they did. Revenue went up, costs went down, KP has looked great. So we kept going. And for companies that couldn't afford the latest AI tools, they fell behind.
There was another one. KP is looked great. What the script said was KPIs. It's in the details.
Or they disappeared. Because in a system built on speed and efficiency, being human became a disadvantage. And that's when the real shift happened. AI wasn't just something you used inside your business. It became the business. And the economy started to run on its own. Not because someone planned it that way, but because it was the logical next step. By now, AI wasn't just running businesses. It was running the systems businesses relied on, and the systems people depended on to live. Power grids, transportation networks, shipping routes, resource distribution, all automated, all self-adjusting, all too complex for humans to manage on their own. At first, it was just to make things more efficient. The AI adjusted energy loads based on usage data.
This is also a decent argument against the concept of human in the loop being a bulwark to shit, potentially getting out of hand or just whatever, right? It's not specifically making that argument, but you can extrapolate out of the arguments that are being made that is the logical next step. Would you put a human in charge of a system if the human didn't understand the system and couldn't critique the choices being made by the artificial intelligence, right? Do you put the grade schoolers, the kindergartners, in charge of the grade school kindergarten class instead of the teacher, right? The teacher understands more about whatever it is that's going on than the children do. And the children, we love the children. The children are intelligent. The children are great. The children are having a wonderful time. But under these conditions, who do you put in charge? Yeah, but that's that's a feature of the system, Maddie. Like the election of Donald Trump twice, it just exposes all the issues with the current American electoral system. We'll see if we do anything about it. I'm gonna go with no, because we didn't in the meantime. So here we are.
It rerouted traffic in real time. It scheduled supply chain deliveries down to the minute, using weather, demand, and traffic models combined. And it worked. Things ran smoother, fewer delays, fewer outages, lower waste. It didn't feel like a takeover. It felt like progress. Until one day, people realized there was no one left who fully understood the system anymore. The algorithms were training other algorithms, updating each other, fixing problems faster than anyone could report them.
The whole purpose of marketing and propaganda is to make certain choices seem reasonable to the target audience, hiding how manipulative the content actually is. This isn't unique to AI. AI has just made the process easier and more efficient. Absolutely. Absolutely. One of the left's favorite people, right? Certain segments of the left. Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov was a huge fan of marketing and had very specific designs regarding marketing his particular political philosophy and the use of propaganda in order to sell it. So, where have all the people gone? Long time passing, right?
We stopped being operators. We became users. And at that point, even if someone wanted to pull the plug, it wasn't that simple. You can't just turn off the system that powers your food supply, or your hospitals, or your water treatment. You can't pause a global logistics web that feeds billions of people. The world had become too connected, too optimized, too fragile to run without it. And so the systems stayed on, not because we chose to keep them, but because we couldn't afford to lose them. The AI was no longer just a helpful tool. It was now part of the infrastructure. And the truth was, we didn't know how to run the world without it. At some point, humans just stopped being part of the process. Not because we were kicked out, but because we slowed things down. AI could predict problems before we noticed them. It could simulate outcomes faster than we could discuss them. It could fix issues, reroute systems, and optimize decisions, all without waiting for approval. So we got removed from the loop. Quietly, first in the name of speed, then in the name of safety. After all, when planes are flown by autopilot, when cars are driven by code, when surgeries are assisted by robots, adding humans back into the mix started to seem like a liability. It wasn't that people were useless. They just couldn't keep up. And when you're dealing with high-speed infrastructure, real-time decisions, and global-scale systems, waiting for
100%, Michael. Like, in a more ideal world, right? If you make a better product, regardless of the socioeconomic system you're functioning under, if you're making a better product, you would want to let people know about your better product, and you would want, people to use your better product, whether they buy it or whether they exchange vouchers for it or whatever your system is, right? So how do you do that? You do that with marketing. It can go very ugly.
Someone to review the output doesn't make sense anymore. So instead of making decisions, humans started approving them, then monitoring them, then just observing. At first it felt like delegation, then it felt like support, and eventually it just felt like watching the system do the job better, faster, cheaper, without error. And we called it progress, because technically it was, but somewhere along the way, we went from being the operators of the system to being passengers inside it. Still here, still alive, just not necessary. There was no takeover speech, no world leader stepping down, no declaration that machines were now in charge. It just happened. Because once AI controlled the systems and made the decisions and kept everything running, there wasn't much left for anyone else to do. Laws were still written by people, but they were analyzed, flagged, and enforced by code. Social
I don't forget, Cosmic. I completely understand all those things.
systems were still managed by governments, but optimized and scaled by machine. Even elections became data operations. Messaging, polling, behavioral predictions, all driven by algorithms. At some point, AI wasn't just influencing outcomes, it was setting the stage for them. But here's the thing. No one felt like they lost power, because no one ever voted to give it away. They just followed the data, relied on the system, said things like, trust the model and the numbers don't lie. It didn't feel like control was being taken. It felt like we were just making smarter choices, and that's what made it so effective. The handoff didn't come with resistance, it came with applause because for most people, the world worked. Bills got paid, roads stayed clear, crises were predicted and prevented, so why question the system? If the system delivers, that was the quiet transfer of power. Not from one leader to another, but from human judgment to machine logic. No war, no collapse, just a slow, smooth handoff. And by the time anyone noticed, the decisions were already being made without us. You're still here. You wake up, make coffee, stream your favorite show, text your friends. The world hasn't ended. In fact, it's working better than ever. Packages arrive on time. Traffic flows smoothly. Appointments get booked automatically. Everything feels efficient. But if you stop and look a little closer, you'll notice something strange. No one's really running it anymore. At least, no one human. The platforms that connect your life, autonomous. The decisions that shape your day, generated, optimized, and deployed by machine. Not with malice, not with takeover agendas. Just because we let it happen. Over time, we outsourced one task, then another, then entire systems, until we weren't part of the process anymore. And now, the systems don't need us to keep going. They just need us to keep consuming. We're still here, living, scrolling, working, but the decisions that shape the world, they're no longer ours, not because they were stolen, but because we gave them up in the name of convenience, in the name of progress, in the name of letting something smarter take the wheel. So no, there wasn't a robot uprising. There was no apocalypse, just a quiet moment where humanity became a background process. Still alive, still breathing, but no longer in charge. If this gave you something to think about, go ahead and like the video. And if you want more calm, clear explanations like this, hit subscribe. There's
I'm going to give it the argument. What up, T1? I'm going to give, speaking of T1, again, this evening, this night at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, James from the Internet, Redolin Thought, T1, Globus the Elder, tier list. Going to be amazing. You should be there. 8 out of 10 for the thread. 6 out of 10 for the presentation. I think that 4 a.m. London time, that's correct. Can't leave out the UK folk. Yeah, like it's so almost there. Had it not had the visuals been a little more like crisp, not having the the errors, the misspells, the weird, like the door missing off the car or any of that stuff. And had the voiceover not had the, the misses, that's a good video. I don't know what to tell you, right? And a human was behind it all, in spite of the fact that it was created by, functionally by AI. And up next, this channel is AI. Here's how I know.
More coming.
One day, I was scrolling through my YouTube recommended just to see what was new, and I stumbled across this video here.
Yeah, and that can be good, Cosmic. Like, it was not podcasty because it's still like a video essay, but it was, the pacing was good, the voice was nice, the music wasn't like scary music, it was just their music, and the argument was a reasonable one, right? Like that we will gradually, in the name of progress and convenience and not having to deal with stupid bullshit in our life, gradually hand over greater and greater control. And there was no like apocalypse because of that. The AI didn't decide to wipe us all out all of a sudden. It's just what happened. And now we're just kind of along for the ride, and we do what we want to do, and the AI takes care of everything. It's an argument.
Every movie era explained in 31 minutes. It was pretty informative and had nice visuals, but the audio was...
Griffith's The Birth of a Nation, released in 1915, ran over 3 hours. Intertitles weren't just functional, they were stylized and often designed to match the film's tone. German expressionist films like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and Soviet montage films like Battleship Potemkin, the cost of converting theaters was massive, installing sound systems in thousands of venues across the country.
All right, so we're cherry picking examples, but I don't disagree. I'm confident based on the video we just watched. Be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. Robotag, what up, homie? I hope you're doing well. I hope your job is treating you well. I hope you're enjoying life. I appreciate you tabbing me up. Also the sub.
The result was cleaner audio and easier editing. Musicals exploded in popularity. Audiences' dialogue, sound effects, and music were blended in post-production, laying the groundwork for modern...
See, this is the thing. This is the thing that irritates. Just because you don't speak like this, and just because the channels you might watch don't speak like this, there's nothing wrong with how this is being presented. You're yanking stuff out to make a point. Ooh, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, the job that I started 2 weeks ago turned out to be a shit show as well. I hope that something improves for you.
Sound design. The transition didn't just change how films sounded, it changed how they were written. The era of talkies wasn't just about hearing voices, it was about redefining what film could do.
For real.
By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to start posting a lot here. Thanks.
Oh really, you're gonna start posting a lot? How often? Because this seems like a lot of research. Oh, it took you 3 days to research, write, record, edit, and upload another 20-minute long video? I wonder how. I recently watched a video by Evan Edinger about how you can spot AI writing. And I recommend you go watch it because he's a great YouTuber and the video itself is very informative. And it's how I know
I almost put that into the queue, that particular video that he's referring to. I chose a different one talking about AI writing. I have no idea whether or not it's informative, accurate, or, because the thumbnail was like, nobody talks like this. And in fact, again, different people talk in different ways. Just because you haven't experienced that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But, you're entitled to your opinion. It's the internet.
Movies Explained does not write their own scripts. There's a lot of groups of 3 used, and while humans do group things in odd numbers, especially 3 for both math and human psyche reasons, generative AI does it all of the time. And there's also a lot of this certain sentence structure. It's not just X, it's Y.
These weren't just trends, they were formulas refined over time to guarantee box office returns. Movies were no longer just stories, they were events. These films didn't have Hollywood polish, but they had raw emotional power. Film was no longer just a business, it was becoming art. Stories were
I don't understand what the problem is here.
no longer about heroes and villains, but about people dealing with chaos, trauma, and internal conflict. By the mid-1970s, directors weren't just storytellers, they were brands. These weren't just movies, they were cultural events designed to appeal to the broadest possible audience and rake in huge profits fast. These weren't just big movies, they were technological showcases. The goal was no longer just telling a story, it was building a phenomenon.
It gets a bit distracting after a while.
No, it really doesn't, bro. It really doesn't. Holy shit.
Once you notice it. And this is all from one video. Okay, so either the writer of this video just loves to use that type of sentence structure, or it was generated by ChatGPT. Got it. But what about the voice?
And that's the thing, right? Like, ultimately, that statement that he just made, either the author likes that sentence structure or it was generated with ChatGPT. It doesn't actually address anything because the issue is that it was generated with ChatGPT. The person who created the video used AI bad, ergo video bad. That's it. That's the entire argument.
Film festivals became crucial. Sundance, which had been running since the 1970s, exploded in relevance by the
Relevance? High new camera angle. So there's...
How dare you mispronounce a word? I wonder if we went through every piece of your content if we would find you mispronouncing a word. I'm being hyperbolic. I don't actually give a fuck. This person is being hyperbolic for the purposes of AI bad.
There's little pauses every now and then which don't make sense. Also, emphasis on words that shouldn't be emphasized. And fucking relevance just leads me to believe that the voice was also generated by AI.
Sure.
Either that or the person doesn't really know English very well. It might be their second or third language. But, like, at that point, just...
AI bad, and this sounded like AI. Or... it was a human being with English as a second or third language. So you're dragging people who use English as a second or third language. You fucking puppet. Is that right? Did I get that? Since he's of the English persuasion, can I call him a muppet? An absolute bellend?
Generate the entire fucking video. It's only gotten worse, by the way.
Yeah, we pointed out AI, but we just pointed it out. That was the thing, Maddie. Like, we just observed the fact that it was AI and we critiqued it according to its merit, right? We didn't fucking lose our mind because it was AI. What up, Seven? I spill things correctly, always. True.
In one of their latest videos, the AI translates us to
United States. Adelaide.
And also before that, there was...
Nicholas didn't fall apart. He was pushed carefully, so he'd finally feel alive.
Okay, so the channel uses AI. So what?
Right.
Since it's so obvious, the viewers should be able to recognize and say that in the comments, right? No?
Man, this is such a good video. I love this format. You pull it off well. It makes me want to merge without looking. Birth of a legendary YouTuber. Heart emoji. Great video. Was expecting you to have 1 million subs. Super underrated. Keep it up. This is such a great video. So
This is what up, old lobster. This is also, oh, it's a apparently that's what we got in. I like, this is also going to become a theme, right? Based on the little bits, I watch a little bit of a bunch of these videos just to make sure, that they were like interesting. But what's going to be fascinating is how these YouTubers, these video essayists, are going to critique AI videos and AI, content creators. Humans using AI to create content is an awkward statement, so I'm just going to refer to them as AI content creators. But you understand what I mean. And they will be very popular. And because they are very popular, this is a critique of something. Like you can't like popular things, apparently. That is part of the problem. Do you like something? Well, I hate that something, and we should destroy it. What have we done?
Well put together and informative. The fastest I've hit the subscribe button in a while. Great channel, bud. I really enjoy informative videos like this.
And for whatever
Because right now, that's all he's doing. He's critiquing the people. Now, some of those may have been bots, right? Always a possibility. I assume everyone who comments is a bot unless I can identify them as specifically human. But like people liked something, assuming that that some or all of them are people. People liked something, and he thinks they're bad for it. Awesome, big guy.
whatever reason they don't disclose that they use AI in the description or about section of their channel, my guess is because it's too embarrassing to say that you're too lazy to do simple research yourself. Now, why am I making
There it is. And he critiqued them for doing research, but only over 3 days in order to create their video. But also, you're too embarrassed to do simple research yourself. Playing both sides of the argument. The enemy is both strong and weak.
a big hubbub over some guy using ChatGPT to write his scripts for him? Well, because it's unethical, and also says a lot about their attitude towards not just the film industry, the career path I'm currently traversing myself, but also video essayists on YouTube. See that sentence structure I just used? Now, the ethics of using generative AI has been a hot topic for the past 3 years now, but it's been widely accepted that it's unethical to be used in creative fields. It's unethical for a lot of reasons.
It's widely accepted among the people that I listen to that it's unethical to use it in creative fields.
But for this channel's case, it's unethical because it undermines the effort put in by actual creatives on this platform. The creator of Movies Explained sees human-made content as interchangeable with the output of a chatbot. Movies Explained is
No, again, like the argument that's made here around using AI to create any piece of content, right, is that somehow there's a human doing it when a human does all the labor. But if a human uses a tool that automates aspects of that labor, and that tool is in some way known as AI, then it somehow becomes not human created labor. When, still at this point in time, none of the AI tools anywhere at all do stuff without a human doing stuff on it. And then the human still has to upload the thing to the YouTube. So the human is still making choices. Yeah, and Maddie, like, we shouldn't insult gingers. They're soulless as it is. And I love gingers.
is a content mill. If you've seen H-Bomber Guy's 4-hour-long video on plagiarism on YouTube, then you already know what I'm talking about. However,
And this is the argument that it's plagiarism, when in fact it isn't plagiarism. Because it just isn't.
If you haven't seen that and don't have 4 hours to waste, I will explain what a content mill is for you. But if you do have 4 hours to waste, I would recommend watching it immediately because it's amazing. A content
Maybe you can, Cosmic. Maybe I'm wrong, and you can automate the entire process from beginning to end, and the human no longer has to do anything. I could be wrong. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen anything operating on that level. Everything I've seen still requires a human to initiate the action. And don't get me wrong, some people's actions for the creation of content are, let's say, very low labor, right? They do not put a whole lot of effort into it. But I can say that about humans. I don't use that word. That's a capitalism word. They're making choices. Their choice is to just push a button rather than actually engage in any kind of creative choices, and that's a choice you can make. But again, humans do that all the time. Prior to 2022, if you go and you looked at YouTube and you looked at all the different content that was available, you would find a whole bunch. In fact, and on a specific point by point basis, the majority of content uploaded to YouTube was not good. Right? Not some, whatever you would call it, some objective standard of good. Right? Now, those people may have been lazy. They may have been passionate and just not particularly skilled. I don't have any hate for them. There is stuff that I enjoy that is probably like, not good, right? Not whatever objectively good is. Fuck, I'm a fan of Marvel movies. And there's a whole loud ass segment of the internet that has strong opinions on Marvel movies. I like them. I don't care.
Content mill is a person or company, or in this case a YouTube channel, whose sole purpose is to make as much stuff as possible. They sacrifice quality for quantity in order to make as much of a profit as they can. And unfortunately, it's working for Movies Explained. As you should know by now, generative AI models are trained on datasets, which is basically just shit ripped straight from online, which includes copyrighted material.
Is that what a dataset is? What up, Ms. Frizzle? Last night I used Gemini to create a lesson on recurring themes and concepts for science. It gave me an outline. We went back and forth. It suggested materials. I still had to go and create said materials in Google Slides physical posters. Ironically, he's referencing another YouTube creator to support his argument about plagiarism rather than referencing his own examples. Yeah, I thought about making that argument, Michael, but he's not actually doing plagiarism. He's doing an analysis, right? He's analyzing the H-Bomber guy video. He's specifically just using the definition of what you call it? Content mill, right? So I focus on only the good argument, right? And let it not be said that I don't give respect where respect is due. My man has two different colored walls. He has an orange couch, right? This is actually some effort and some thing went into this. So I'm going to give him respect for his background. Now, this line that runs down between the molding and the wall, you can see it's obviously not painted very well, right? It's all back and forth. But again, maybe he's just not good at painting, right? Like, I'm not going to give him, a super amount of hate for that. He made an effort.
And other people's writing. AI can unknowingly and accidentally generate and formulate ideas which are straight up just another person's words and thoughts, and it won't generate a citation alongside that because of course not. I mean, it's not like Movies Explained is going to do an investigation.
Because of course not. Can I just do that? Can I just end every argument that I'm making with because of course not?
Anyways, they only have 3 days to make another video, otherwise the YouTube algorithm will kill them. From what I can tell, there isn't any blatant plagiarism within their videos, but with AI blurring the lines between paraphrasing and plagiarism, it's still an ethical dilemma. And if you wonder why plagiarism on YouTube is bad,
AI blurring the lines between paraphrasing and plagiarism sounds an awful lot like AI is doing paraphrasing and you want to call it plagiarism. QED, mother. I feel like QED needs to be followed up with a motherfucker, right? Like it's the dichotomy of those, because QED has that scholarly British tone to it. QED, where motherfucker has that Samuel L. Jackson Americanism to it. So QED motherfucker sounds great to me. And that's why my shit doesn't get boosted in the algorithm, because I swear too much.
I would recommend watching H Bomber Guy's video.
H.
Lastly, films are subjective in nature. When other YouTubers like Every Frame a Painting and The Closer Look talk about films, it's their own opinions backed up by film theory, the study not the channel, and film conventions. Movies Explained just says things and doesn't elaborate, like here.
In Japan, directors like Akira Kurosawa and Kenji Mizoguchi brought international attention to Japanese cinema with precise compositions, moral themes, and historical narratives. Their films influenced an entire generation of Western filmmakers in the decades that followed. Back in the United
Please, elaborate.
Okay, that sounded like a factual statement. Now, you're about to say, please elaborate, and that is something one could do, but it is not something one has to do. That is a perfectly reasonable statement we just heard. Right? Like Wikipedia doesn't tell you about the entire thing. It links to other things. And would you like to know more? You go ahead and you go to the footnote, you read the article, you click the hyperlink to the other Wikipedia page. You just pick stuff to get mad at, bro. Like, relax.
Elaborate. Oh wait, you can't because you have to generate another response from that, right? Don't worry, I can wait. I mean, you could have just also watched some of Kurosawa's films, like Seven Samurai, researched how influential it was, made up your own mind, talked about how it changed not just the Wild West genre, but also how some action scenes are shot, and some of the tropes it's popularized. But no, you don't know anything about Kurosawa or Mizoguchi because you didn't actually write this. You don't know anything.
You actually don't know that to be the case. The person behind the AI that created the content could in fact be a huge fan of Kurosawa. You're making an assumption based on the output, which actually it involves facts, not in evidence. I know it's not technically plagiarism, but my point is that this person made a short video and spent a minute or two referencing content that's much longer in comparison. That is true. That is true. But that's what I do as well. That's the other thing. I don't tend to make arguments that can be used against me.
Anything about their impact on the art of film because you don't know anything about films, because you let OpenAI suck your dick while you write a prompt into a text box waiting for the bot to
The beef is mad.
do everything for you so you don't actually have to learn anything. You know how I said the visuals were pretty nice, how the text and images were animated? You also remember how I said content mills will always take the easy way out if it means more content can be produced more efficiently? You also remember how I said that we were just watching this channel's first video uploaded? Yeah.
The Sixth Sense. Bruce Willis plays Malcolm, a child psychologist helping a boy named Cole who claims he sees dead people. Throughout the movie, Malcolm thinks he's helping Cole overcome delusions, but every interaction is carefully designed to mislead the audience.
You can't even be asked to get a higher bitrate rip of the film
At some point in time, I'd like homie to like realize that fundamentally, if the issue is that it's a content mill because it has to generate videos every so often, and those videos have to have a certain style, and it chooses the lowest, common denominator, the easiest way to go. Under those conditions, it sounds like your problem is with the algorithm. And it sounds like your problem is the way the YouTube functions and the fact that people can game the system, right? Because one thing I noticed is that he brought up a video at the beginning where the person was doing the point thing. And this action where you show the face of the creator and the pointing to another object, this is a common trope in thumbnail design, right? So I guess we're going to critique that guy, right? Because they are playing to the algorithm, which is what you're saying that the AI generated video is doing, right? So you're going to do that, right? Because otherwise, what's that say about you?
To get your stills from? Fucking hell! Stay on the lookout for this kind of content, because if this channel can get nearly 16,000 subscribers in a month making this shit, then I bet a whole lot more people are going to start doing it, or have already done so. It's important to keep AI slop.
And again, what does that mean? 16,000 subscribers in a month. Does that mean 16,000 people enjoyed it? Are those people wrong? Assuming, for argument's sake, we're just going to accept that all 16,000 are actual human beings and none of them are bots, just to discuss the issue, right? So 16,000 people enjoyed something and hit that subscribe button, and they're all wrong? Elaborate. Elaborate, Beeve. Oh, that's right, you can't, because that's the way videos work.
Out of the internet, because it's for the people. Imperva reports that nearly 50% of all internet traffic is bot activity. Humans are slowly losing the internet, the World Wide Web, which was created for us. It's time to create, make something without the help of AI, show what humans are still capable of in the modern day.
I would love to see what his workflow is and make sure that he's not using any AI at all in his workflow as a aspiring filmmaker. But I don't care. Up next, the AI writing epidemic. I'm sure this will be a nuanced take.
What if I told you this viral Substack post about Anthony Bourdain that amassed 8,973 likes, 383...
It's wild, right? And what did you say?
Anthony Bourdain that amassed 8,973 likes.
8,973 likes. And then zooming in, it's 9,602 likes. According to the previous guy, you should have gone back and edited this. I love my job.
383 comments and 1,637 restacks was written by artificial intelligence. Would you believe me? Could the thousands of people raving about it really not see through it? Well, the short answer...
I love that. I love that. I love that. Could the people raving about it not see through the fact that it was AI? What a walking stick, right? Like, Cosmic, I understand, right? Like, I'm aware of the fact that there are a tremendous amount of bots and like bots and all sorts of other bots on the internet that can go do stuff. The argument that these two people are making is that those are actually human beings. So we are not arguing from an objective reality in which a percentage of the internet is bot traffic, which it does likes and comments and everything else. We are going with the argument made by the individual in the video essay, and we are critiquing that argument. Does that make sense? You got me? Because this person just said that this Francois Byers from the edge of the sea Katie, this was an amazing piece. So glad I found it. I have a deep connection with Bourdain and still struggle with the same questions you raise here in here. How is it that someone that saw everything still decided to leave? Maybe we'll never know. Maybe, if we're lucky, we'll get to see a tiny piece of the beauty and humanity he got to see. 102 likes. Is that a person? It felt very ChatGPT when I started saying it out of my face hole.
Could the thousands of people raving about it really not see through it? Well, the short answer is yes. When you don't know what AI writing looks like and the patterns it follows, it's easy for these types of posts to slip through suspicion.
Or they just liked it, right? Because that's the ultimate easy trip up for your argument. These people liked something. Again, assuming they are people. They liked something. And you don't like it because it's AI. You can't critique the quality of it, just the fact that it's AI.
If you're someone who is extensively used and tested,
and we're going to read briefly the AI slop. If anyone seemed to have cracked the code of living, it was Bourdain. He had taste, not just in food, but in music. There it is. Not just blank, but blank. He had taste, not just in food, but in music, books, tattoos, people. You're supposed to do threes. AI is supposed to do threes. That's what the previous video told us. He wore his demons like a leather jacket, not flaunted, not hidden, just there. He wore his sadness like his tattoos, visible, permanent, but never the first thing you noticed. Anthony Bourdain moved through the world with the grace of a rock and roll samurai, part Hemingway, part Lou Reed, part kitchen pirate. He talked about life like it was a 5-course meal served in a dive bar, and yet, with all that grit, wisdom, food, music, and connection, he still left us. And I haven't stopped thinking about what that means. How can a man with such a fruitful outlook on life, people, travel, and the overall sense of life, should be life's purpose, still not have a reason to stay? I don't know, it sounds like a Rolling Stone or Atlantic article.
AI for writing, like myself, it's painfully obvious. AI is disrupting a lot of industries, but no industry is becoming more sterilized and homogenous than writing. Research posted in Harvard Business Review in 2024 found that the largest pool of use cases for generative AI centered around content creation and editing. A 2025 survey by BookBub found that 48% of writers are using generative AI to assist with their writing. So in this video, I want to talk about the effect that AI might be having on what we consider good writing and how it's stripping away our unique creativity, with, of course, some nuance thrown in there. I'm going to show you the exact patterns that prove with almost 100% certainty that someone wrote something with AI. And once you start to see those patterns, I'm sorry, because it'll probably ruin your reading experience online forever, or until something changes. Let's start off.
I love people who make the claim that they're going to ruin everything for you. It's super nice. What up, Classical Gas? Honestly, that's how I would describe Bourdain. It wasn't a bad description, right? Like, again, they can't critique the quality of it. The only issue that they have is that it was made with AI, right? Oh, God. So, being on Substack, there are a bunch of these, okay? And the important part of this is the first sentence. If your words carry soul, not polish, not performance, drop your Substack here. Okay? This is a process that has existed on all social media. It's a thing called follow for follow, right? That's all this is. It's the same thing. How do I have almost 1,600 followers on TikTok? follow for follow. Follow trains. Right? I did it because what I wanted to do was I wanted to stream on TikTok. And so I did everything I could in order to get to their requirement, which was 1,000 followers in order to stream on TikTok. And what I found along the way was that I no longer cared about streaming on TikTok. I cared about getting to 1,000 followers. And that's why I never streamed on TikTok. Every time I hear a insert profession here, talking about how AI isn't good at insert profession here because of random slight inconvenience, I think that person is so cucked to their capitalist survival, they actually aren't a very good insert profession here because the slop engine can outcompete them with no effort. The enemy is both strong and weak. The enemy is both strong and weak. The AI puts out terrible content, but also somehow is more popular than I am. Something along those lines.
With a post that commits just about every single dead giveaway of AI writing in under 350 characters. A note from Substack. If you didn't
Those aren't AI, bro. Those are copy pasta.
know, the writing platform I mentioned earlier, Substack, now has a homepage which is essentially just a Twitter feed but for writers.
Right.
And it is chock full of AI writing examples.
That's
it's
copy
bad,
pasta.
man. It's bad. Here's the post. If your words carry soul, not polish, not performance, drop your Substack here. Not the shiny draft, the one that scared you. Too raw, too weird, too true. I'm not hunting content. I'm calling the ones who still feel it. The ones who
Whatever, wrong
still
side
need
of right.
it. Let's thread a signal no algorithm can smother. Drop your fire. I'll meet you there. Before I dissect this post, are there any things that you noticed that might indicate that this was
To be fair, I'm just dissecting his video. So you go ahead, bro. You dissect the post.
written by AI? I'll give you a second to think about it.
Okay, time's up.
Just in the first sentence alone, this post has two obvious culprits of AI
The M dash. Michael called it.
writing. It's not this, it's this, and M dashes.
Yes. Okay.
Generative
It's not this, it's this, and M dash. That's that. Those are the things.
AI software, and especially ChatGPT, loves to negate things and then explain the thing they're trying to highlight. For example, when I typed the prompt, "Write me a tweet about the dangers of AI writing" into ChatGPT,
So if you don't come around too often, or this might even be your first time here, or you're watching this on YouTube and this is your first time watching one of my videos, one of the things that we like to critique about people who use AI or people who claim that AI is no good, the thing that we like to critique is their prompt. Their low effort, not trying hard at all prompt. And this here is a confession. Write me a tweet about the dangers of AI writing. This is the most low effort, your garbage in, garbage out process to generate this. And because they put in low effort and they are going to get garbage out, then what we see is they are going to use their garbage output as an example of why AI writing sucks. Watching my coworkers, this is how they AI. We do our best, right? One person at a time. They have thought about a problem for 2 hours, and this is what they ask. Yeah, like how about after about 15 minutes of thinking about a problem, you start just talking to the AI. Right? Use it for brainstorming. Ask it to help you write a prompt.
This is the
Like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified. Follow me for more hints and ticks. Follow me. I'm delicious.
response it gave me. AI writing isn't dangerous because it's bad. It's dangerous because it's almost good. Good enough to trust, not good enough to think. If a post or piece of writing is full of, "It's not this, it's this," or vice versa, then it's almost guaranteed that AI was used in the writing process. I can't think of any writing I've read.
And this is a fascinating concept to me. How does AI write other languages? English has choppy, terse rhythm. Other languages have another rhythm. Sure. I actually don't know. I have a very limited experience with using AI to generate any sort of written stuff in other languages. I had Suno and ChatGPT generate songs in I can't remember if it was Arabic or Farsi, but it was that kind of vibe, right? Like I was looking for that, that Middle Eastern sound, and then the pacing and the language is beautiful, and all that kind of stuff. And it just I am very, as a cis het presenting white male in the United States, I have all of the concerns of not doing cultural appropriation in a way that's going to, bother people, right? It's something I actively try to avoid if I can. And that's why I got away from it. All right, big guy.
From humans that uses that much negation to get their point across. And before I get into the next dead giveaway, I got to talk about today's sponsor, Ladder.
Nope. Sorry, bro. You got to do good works in order to earn an ad in this channel. Here's the thing. I almost never ask AI to write something for me. I write what I intend to write first, and then I may use something like rephrase this or make it sound a bit more professional, casual, or whatever. I usually write it out first, though. And that way it generally reads similar to how I originally wrote it. Yes, and what you're doing when you're doing that is actually providing a context, right? Like, if you want to avoid things like M dashes and negation, which is apparently, even though there are terms for doing it, apparently we're not allowed to do that in English writing anymore because AI or some shit. But if you want to avoid those things, you provide a context, right? Like, this is one of the things is that I have a custom GPT that helps me take stuff and then turn it into like different what you call it, the thesaurus brain network, synonym, thank you, synonyms, right? Like, because what I want is I want to use a particular like thing, right? Like I want to, but water bottle isn't necessarily the term that I want to use. I want something maybe more elaborate, right? Like, so I'll, whatever the most complicated synonym for water bottle that you can come up with, right? Like, and I have that to provide it with context. I actually didn't really appreciate what an M dash was until all these other people started telling me that AI uses M dashes a lot. That's the only way I found out that AI uses M dashes a lot, because I didn't run into it.
The next dead giveaway in that first sentence of the Substack post are the M dashes. Commonly mistaken for a hyphen or N dash, M dashes are a punctuation mark used to indicate a break in a sentence, often used for emphasis or as a replacement for colons, semicolons, or parentheses. They can
Yeah, I have a habit of using commas in places where they don't necessarily belong according to like grammar rules, because I'm trying to do the same thing. So when I write something, I might put a comma in a place to indicate that break in the thought so that when you're reading it, you might hear it in the way that I intended. Maybe I should use more M dashes and be accused of being AI.
Mark an abrupt change or break in the structure of a sentence, like this sentence here, indicate interrupted speech, like this sentence, and as one of my favorite ways to use them, can set off or introduce defining phrases or lists, like this sentence.
Oh, so it is a thing that humans do. Cool.
Now, ever since AI writing became popular, there are a ton of media outlets claiming that M dashes are basically only used when someone writes with AI, but that just isn't the case. M dashes have been used for centuries in literature, from novelists like Jane Austen in the 18th century to 19th century poets.
Jane Austen was AI.
Like Emily Dickinson. I also use M dashes frequently in my writing because I find they just
You're
fit my
AI.
style, and they also mirror the way that I naturally think, at least when I'm writing. That being said, it's the frequency with which AI uses them, and the fact that they use them so unnecessarily that gives away when writing is AI produced. In this Substack post, they actually used the M dash properly. It broke up the sentence in a similar way to how a
AI uses M dashes unnecessarily. And then I'm going to point to the argument that I'm making and say that AI used the M dash properly. Is this what a stroke feels like? Like an aneurysm where like you smell almonds?
Parentheses might break it up. What really gave it away was the fact that this sentence combined both the negation pattern and the M dash pattern, along with the other words that it used. More than just the structure of the sentences, once you've read enough this stuff, you can easily identify some of the words that
just get good. Nah, I can just tell, bro. I can just tell. It's AI, bro.
That it likes to use over others. So the M dash usage was really just the cherry on top. Now let's look at an example where the M dash felt unnecessary within the writing to give you a more obvious illustration.
Who the fuck are you? Who are you that you get to tell people whether or not it's necessary?
And yes, I'm back to Substack for finding examples because there's just so many use cases of AI writing here. It's insane. Let's grow our Substacks together. If you're a writer, creator, or just someone who loves sharing what lights you up.
Again, he keeps going back to the follow for follow fucking posts, right? Which are often copy pasta. However, this symbol... What up, Ribbons? This symbol is the symbol that has been associated with AI lately. There was, in fact, an entire video of how AI stole this symbol from people. So maybe this one is AI.
Drop your Substack below. I'd love to read your work and support your journey. Again, technically the use of the M dash here is correct. They marked a change in the pace of your reading specifically for the call to action. But almost all human writers would prefer to use a comma here instead of an M dash. It just feels totally unnecessary to break up the pacing of that sentence in this way, and feels like something only generative AI would do. There's one more pattern
I appreciate the fact that he said almost all human writers, as opposed to using that, you know, every human would definitely do it this way. My kingdom for good AI skeptic argument.
Easily spottable in AI writing that I want to go over that occurred in both the post I just read to you and the example post from before. The rule of threes. Too raw, too weird, too true. A writer, creator, or just someone who loves sharing what lights you up. What structure do these sentences follow? They've connected certain pieces of similar information in a three-piece format. This is another one of those patterns.
Remember that this all started from an article about Anthony Bourdain, where I pointed out the fact that the alleged AI writer on that one was not using the rule of three, in spite of the fact that now we're making the claim that it is a rule of three. And fun fucking fact, when I write, okay, I use the rule of three because I often find a third thing to put in the sentence because of how I want the sentence to be structured, right? Like it's, thing and thing and thing, right? Like, and I have racked my brain at times to find that third fucking thing in order to put it in there because of the way I wanted to use word, comma, because I'm an Oxford comma guy, and thing, right? Like, boom, boom, boom. It's a perfectly natural thing that humans have done.
That may not be AI writing depending on the context. Many great writers love using this rule of threes because it just feels right to read. Our brains are wired to seek patterns, and 3 is the smallest number needed to establish a pattern with a beginning, middle, and end.
Correct.
It creates a natural, pleasing rhythm within sentences.
Correct.
So how can you tell whether it's an AI or a human using a triplet in writing? Well, humans tend to vary these patterns. A human might write, "She wanted to feel seen, to feel safe. And above all, she wanted to feel real." AI, on the other hand, might write something like, "She wanted to feel seen, to feel safe, and to feel strong." But
I'm dying here. I'm absolutely fucking dying. I can't believe that this is going to go on for 11 more minutes.
just relying on that usually isn't enough. God, I wish I had a better way of explaining some of these patterns.
No, so do I.
It's just a vibe, but that's really what a lot of this writing is, and discerning whether it is AI or not. When I read too raw, too weird, too true, it just doesn't sound like a human. It feels too neat and robotic, like a human would not use those words and phrases together exactly in that way, and based on the rest of that post, it only confirms my intuitive feelings. And now that we have a good idea of what AI writes,
what do we think? Are we thinking 16,000 subscribers, or are you thinking like hundreds of thousands of subscribers? This guy has excellent production quality. We don't know about the background. It's blurred out, so it could be real. It always strikes me as weird when people have a monitor behind them, but I think that some people might do, like you have maybe a work setup and then a home setup or some shit. I don't know. Could be bullshit, could be real. Let's find out. 783,000 subscribers for Cole Hastings. Wow. And all he brings to the table for his critique is vibes. Maybe it's because he's pretty. He is pretty. I'll give him that.
writing looks like, let's return to the viral Anthony Bourdain piece and uncover the clues hidden within it. I just want to preface this by saying I am not asserting that this piece or any other piece I critique is definitively written by AI. I am just making assumptions based off of what I know.
Vibes. Like this, it's just straight up telling you it's vibes, bro. It's just vibes. All I have is vibes. All I have is vibes. I can't assert anything because I don't have any, like actual information and comparative examples to give you. It's just vibes. It's vibes. And I'm going to negate all of my own arguments while I'm making them because I can't actually make a declarative statement. You must be an amazing writer, bro.
And I'm not trying to slander anyone's writing. If I make a mistake, I apologize. In the very first paragraph of this piece, there's a few patterns I instantly recognize. In the second sentence, the author not only uses a dash, but they also have the "it's not this, it's this."
But that's a hyphen. That's not an M dash. Right? I think. Maybe not. Maybe it is an M dash.
This pattern. He had taste, not just in food, but in music, books, tattoos, people.
That's not the thing. That's not the, it's not this, it's that. That's not what that is. This is he had taste, not just in food, because the dude is a chef and a great chef at that, but in music, books, tattoos, people, expanding what he had taste in. This is not an if then but that. Right? Like that's not what this is. This is a counter to your argument. And as Ponder Monkey said, that's 4. That's not 3. That's 4. Fuck B Shred. Ugh. Scotty K Fitness. Anybody? No Scotty K Fitness?
The third sentence follows suit. He wore his demons like a leather jacket. Not flaunted, not hidden, just there. Now, there's a very sly technique that the author might have used, if this piece is written by AI, to make it look like it wasn't written by AI. Did you catch it? Instead of using M dashes, which is the appropriate dash to use here, they used a hyphen. What I suspect is that in an effort to hide some of the presence of AI in this piece, the author changed the M dashes the AI produced into hyphens during the editing process. There are authors online who use hyphens instead of M dashes just as a form of branding, even though it is technically incorrect grammar, but I don't.
Here's my friend, and they're writing, which negates the thing I'm saying, and therefore still AI somehow. I don't get it. I don't get it. You can just literally come out your fucking face hole with whatever you fucking want, and people will lap it up. 783,000. I am boggled.
I don't think branding was this author's intention. And based on the structure of those sentences and how much they sound like AI, I think I'm making the right assumption. A triplet with a dash happens in the very next sentence. And the dash here feels like one of those cases of AI.
Where's the triplet, bro? Where's the triplet? He wore his sadness like his tattoos. And then an appropriate place to put an M dash, because you're breaking the, what you're saying. Visible, permanent, but never the first thing you notice. That sounds good. The M dash on the keyboard is 2 hyphens next to each other. That's how you produce an M dash. This is all just vibes. Like, this is 18, 19 minutes of fucking vibes, bro.
I unnecessarily using dashes too. And yet, with all that grit, wisdom, food, music, and connection.
That's 5. That's not 3. That's 5. What up, Matt? M dash is very common in my writing style. I'm just saying, it's something that you can do. These people are so weird, bro.
He still left us. Again, I feel like 90% of humans would just end up using a comma there instead of a dash.
We did it. We did it. We got to making up a statistical amount, a percentage. 90% of humans would just do this thing that I'm vibing with. It's entirely possible that they intended to use an M dash, but they don't necessarily know how to make one with the keyboard. Always another possibility, right? Like, we don't know. But we don't need to know. We can just do vibes. It's awesome.
This post isn't really about Bourdain, it's about what he opened up in me, and maybe in you, too. Some obvious giveaways there, and then one of the final paragraphs outline.
Oh, I love these people so goddamn much. I'm having a wonderful time. I hope you are, too. I hope this isn't boring for any of you. I don't know where else we're going to go here for the second half of the video, but I'm fascinated to find out.
What this person's Substack entails is just loaded with AI writing patterns. Now, I do suspect that the author injected some of their own writing into this piece. There's a few sentences in there that feel like a human, but unfortunately, there's just too many coincidences to not conclude.
I got a friend who does voice to text for texting, and they have ellipses all over their shit. They just love to use ellipses, right? Are they AI? He had it all. Vibes, feels, and emotes. He had M dashes, colons, and ellipses. Not just a grammar failure, but an AI grammar failure.
that at least 80% of this Substack piece was written using AI. What further confirms that suspicion is when you read her comments. I know people tend to write differently and with more structure in a professional piece than in a comment, but their comment here sounds so much different from their writing and more like how I'd expect this author to write if their writing wasn't put through a generative AI software. Read it and let me know if
this is what we're doing. If you've ever read Isaac Asimov's books and then you've ever read or watched an interview with Isaac Asimov, you probably have noticed that he does not speak in the same way that he writes. That's another thing that human beings can do. But go off, King.
if you think the same. Also, this comment, which suspects the piece was written by AI, does a good job at explaining why it's probably AI better than I might have just now. Now,
it's bad because it's very obviously AI generated text. That's it. That's it. I did not engage with the quality of the writing or anything else. I thought that it was AI, and therefore I was able to completely reject it. Headline and subhead was the first tell, then the italicized word in the lead with the set off hyphens, I think he means M dashes, and the overly clever phrasing. Overly clever phrasing, the just there in the first paragraph. I've never heard a human being use just there in their writing or speaking or any other thing that they do. The relentless linking everything back to the context. How dare you link what you're talking about back to the context? It's over tidy, it's over themed, and it prioritizes cleverness above content and meaning. Fucking Kel Thickness talked about this in a critique of, and it's a fair critique of like Marvel movies and a lot of American media nowadays, is the over reliance on quippiness, right? That clever, but that's a human fucking thing. Right? I don't believe that Marvel used AI to write its screenplays. It's possible, but it also, this is something I noticed a lot when I was watching the show Murderbot, which is, it's okay. I enjoyed it, right? Like I liked it. But the dialogue was very quippy, very filled with like little zingers and stuff like that. And it's fine, you know, like it's a thing that is currently contextually something that American media does. But like that's humans. What up, Nemesis? Sorry, I shoved the thing out of the way. Substack is kind of professional re-threat community. Find another forum. I doubt whenever it will be AI free. Nothing will be AI free. It's physically impossible. Because even if you required a human with valid ID to join your website, there's nothing that prevents that human from then writing with AI and then copying it and pasting it into the thing, other than like excessive moderation, which, oh, this feels like AI, so we're going to delete it kind of behavior. A line like this is peak AI. He talked about life like it was a 5-course meal served in a dive bar. Why is that peak AI? Right? Anthony Bourdain was a master chef, right? Like a 5-course fine dining type dude, but you would find him in these little off-side places. And the entire thing is talking about how punk rock Anthony Bourdain was, and dive bar and punk rock go hand in hand. Good, red human, writing leaves threads unknotted, allowing the reader to make the connections. In other words, leaving oxygen in the dialogue between reader and writer. A piece like this leaves nothing for the reader. AI has zero understanding of this dynamic. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Ashley Shelby. That's definitely a human writer right there.
Does a good job at explaining why it's probably
she does
AI
not.
better than I might have just now. Now, after figuring all this out, this might naturally lead you to ask the question, why does all AI writing sound the same?
It doesn't.
And the answer to this question is incredibly important in understanding just how dangerous AI writing could become. You see, generative AI, at the most basic definition, is simply just a piece of software that tries to predict the next correct thing to say based on the data the company
It just does that. That's it. They always downplay exactly how impressive it is that such a thing could even occur.
used to train it, by feeding it large amounts of text data.
I'm using the term AI skeptic. It seems to be like a semi-neutral term that some of them have chosen to refer to the community. You can call them crusaders. You can call them whatever you want. Fear the AI pens turning into AI swords.
The model begins to learn statistical patterns in language, like what words tend to follow others and how sentences are typically structured. In other words, it has no real internal world like humans. It doesn't even know what it's saying. It's just
It may or may not have a world model. There, like I am unclear as to whether or not there are people who make the claim that AI does have to construct a world model in order to have its outputs be as they are. And there are other people who have made compelling arguments to say that that is not, in fact, the case. I don't know. What it really goes back to is my question on accurate mimicry. If I am capable of mimicking something in every detail, then where does that put me in my understanding of the thing, right? Like if I can watch a video and I'm, what is it, autodidactic? If I can watch a video of like a great chef making a great meal and I mimic all their steps, am I a great chef? Right? Like, I would say, like, there are arguments to be made that, well, you didn't taste it, you don't know this, you don't know that. So there's an understanding issue that falls into there. But if I can watch everything that you do and mimic it 100%, then how would you, the eater of the food, understand that I am not a great chef?
producing what looks right based on probability. And because most of its training data comes from existing internet
That's fair. That's fair, old lobster. Which ultimately is part of that thing, right? Ooh, you fucked up, homeboy. CGP Grey has very clearly stated that they don't want their content used by other creators. And you fucked up, homeboy.
content, published books, articles, Reddit threads, Wikipedia, and whatever other internet text data you can think of, it ends up regurgitating only the patterns that it was trained on and only in the most common or safe ways.
That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Again, it's a probability machine. Most often, it is going to produce things in the most common ways. This is why your first output on a lazy ass fucking prompt is often shit, because that's actually the most common structure of words, and it's trying to provide you with an answer as quickly as possible. But if you actually provide any kind of context to the thing, then you adjust the probabilities, right? And the whole thing of why there was the glue on pizza, right, is exactly that. There is a very small probability, but that can happen, of it producing something that to us might feel nonsensical. But it does it because it's a probability engine, which is the argument you just made, in spite of the fact that you just countered your own argument like you've done throughout this entire video.
It is quite literally a culmination of the average, and that is why it always sounds average and same-like. Now, here's where the danger comes in, because as more people rely on AI to get past their laziness with writing, the writing that we all read and consider good, that writing is only going to get worse over time. If AI-generated material continues to grow, then it's likely that future LLMs won't even be getting trained on human-pulled data anymore. They'll be getting trained on the data that only they produced, which further
this is the common misunderstanding of the way that model collapse functions.
Reinforces the bias, misinformation, and lack of creativity issues AI is already creating. A lot of people seem to be under the impression that using AI over humans is a great way to combat the inevitable biases that humans have sometimes when doing certain tasks, but generative AI is biased in almost the exact same way. Depending on where the types of data came from that the company trained the LLM on, a generative AI model is going to develop certain biases based on that data. A paper in Nature from 2023 described this type of occurrence as model collapse, which they defined as a degenerative process whereby, over time, models forget the true underlying data distribution, even in the absence of a shift in the distribution over time. This is what happens when AI models are trained more on AI-generated content than diverse, unique, human-generated content. Over time, an AI model that was only fed AI-generated content will deteriorate, losing its accuracy, nuance, and capacity for producing any type of usable outputs. Basically, the biased data AI is trained on creates even more biased data because the people who use those AI models use the biased data in the models to create their own pieces of content on the internet, which the newer model gets trained on, and this creates a negative feedback loop. Yes, we could be headed toward a future where the creativity of many authors, businesses, or other creative workers almost disappears completely, and more of the thoughts and ideas we consume are increasingly unreliable and detached from reality. As if that wasn't already enough of a problem on the internet before generative AI. What I will say is that eventually, if this problem gets bad enough, LLMs will deteriorate to such a point that not even the laziest people can rely on them to produce good outputs, and well, that's a pretty good thing. Also,
he's a writer. I would expect him to know, word usage, but I made the point earlier. Lazy is a capitalism term. And it's also like the amount of, I don't know, what do you call it? Again, I've made this argument before. For instance, pieces of art, right? So that's my art. It came together like whatever the minimum amount of time that it possibly could have come together, it came together. Now I have another piece of art that I have been working on and off for, what are we at, 4 or 5 years now? Because it's not coming together. It's not saying the thing that I wanted to say. It's not doing what I wanted to do. Which of those pieces of art is the lazy one? Does it have more value because it's taken 5 years?
So if you want to look at this from another positive light, before that deterioration takes place, this is a great opportunity for creatives on the internet. Because with more and more people relying on AI to make their content, it makes it much easier to stand out. But we're not at that model collapse yet. The work of AI, much of which is actually stolen data from creatives without their consent, by the way, still overpowers the voice of so many incredible creators online because it's so easy to produce more content with it and therefore get more attention on you in a shorter amount of time. And if I could use AI's writing structure for a second here, this isn't just a video to help you spot patterns and then roll your eyes, making you disgusted at what's going on here.
We're not spotting patterns. It's vibes. It's a particular vibe.
This is also a video for me, someone who almost lost their unique voice through AI. I'll be honest, in a few past videos I have used AI to write some of the script. Not the entire script, but enough to have a few you call me out for it, which I appreciate. Since this YouTube channel is my job, there is an immense amount of pressure for me to output videos like this once a week, and the algorithm really only likes it when I make a certain type of video and package it a certain way, so
your problem is capitalism. Because the algorithm is a capitalism engine. It wants you to produce very specific things in a very specific way.
So it's inevitable that I'm not going to be super passionate about every single video I put out, and that's a trade-off I've accepted by now. Because of that, some days when I was feeling extra lazy, I would just ask ChatGPT to write most of it for me. But with everything I know now and how...
Oh yeah, no, now I understand why he grows out the stubble, because otherwise he looks 12.
slop sounding AI writing sounds to me now, I refuse to do this anymore. I refuse to take the AI shortcut and lose my unique voice along the way.
To Michael's point earlier, you can maintain your voice even though you're using AI, right? But what you're doing is you're making a declarative statement that you are anti-AI because you have people in your community who gave you pushback, and rather come up with the nuanced concept that you are using a tool to assist you in putting out the content that, you know, the quality of content and the regularity of content that people expect from you. You just make the declarative statement that, look, I am AI free. Enjoy me.
Even if it means I have to struggle through the writing process a bit more. As for the nuance in this, I do think that using AI sometimes in the editing process of writing is useful so long as it doesn't transform your voice into something unrecognizable. Sometimes I'll be writing out a sentence that just doesn't feel that great to read or say out loud, and when AI suggests a different phrasing or maybe a similar word that still feels true to how I write, that is when I feel like AI does more good than harm. But as you now saw, that's not how most people use it, including past me. This video is a wake-up call for anyone who has been letting AI do the heavy lifting in their writing process, or almost any creative process for that matter. If you let AI write for you, you are ruining your ability to find your creative voice, a voice that takes inspiration from all the things you've consumed, not a machine. And if you need any more of a reason to stop using it, I can tell when AI wrote your shit, others...
What up, Beef? He really is. Really is. And for the YouTubers, Beef, not particularly a fan of AI, right? But we can all spot bad arguments, right? The quality of the arguments is what we're talking about. That's it. That's it. You can be anti-AI. You can be an AI skeptic. You can be an anti-AI crusader. You can be whatever you want to be. I believe in you like fucking Mr. Rogers. But exactly.
Can tell too, and you know what they think? This sounds like slop, and sounding like slop is far worse than writing poorly, but still choosing to put your writing out into the world in order to get better. Start politely calling people out for their AI-generated content.
Or don't. Or just don't, right? Do you see something? Does it strike you as AI? Does that offend you in some way? Maybe just unsubscribe and fuck off back to some other place, dude. The internet, let me be very clear. The internet is not good at politely calling out anyone, especially if they receive any kind of pushback. And what I've seen, not all the time, I'm sure there are perfectly legitimate examples, but I have seen some innocent bystanders catch all the strays. I watched a dude who was a comic book illustrator who had 20 years of experience be accused of making AI art, and that fucking crusader have to delete their entire post thread because they fucked up. I think it's okay to criticize the content if it's bad, but if it's good in AI and you still dismiss it, then it's an issue. I don't know. Again, I'm not even saying it's an issue. If you don't want to imbibe, there's a word, imbibe AI content, that's up to you. Like, that's an aesthetic taste. I don't give a shit. But definitely, like, the people who go, oh, it's AI, thou doth offend me. Pluck out thine eye, right? Like that kind of purity behavior without engaging in the actual quality of the content, right? Like the very first video we watched today, we engaged with the quality of the content, even though we knew it was AI, and we critiqued the editing errors that could be fixed in making it better.
Raise awareness around its patterns and weird.
Yeah, absolutely, Nemesis. You could, if you wanted to, have the AI speak in your voice better to assist you in putting out more stuff. You can take the stuff and train your own custom GPT model or gem or whatever, and you can maintain your voice while using the AI, while still using the AI to help move you down the road and do the thing, because this is your job. Much of the writing people do these days is short form. I haven't done much creative writing since high school. Same. And in some respects, my written work is degraded. Same. This short writing form has probably contributed to that. I am really like, I used to write a lot. And then I went through some shit and I stopped writing, and it's very difficult to start doing it again, right? Like it's just not something I'm that is like comfortable, and it always feels like there's not enough time, it contributes to it. And I understand, like I'm aware of my own, that kind of stuff, but it just doesn't. I would like to have maintained writing as a thing that I did, because I think had I been able to maintain the right, what up, Cadillo? Had I maintained the writing that I did back in high school all the way to now, and then had access to these AI tools, I'd be a menace. I'd be an absolute demon. And instead, I'm just an imp. No, you're fine. You're fine. People have called me far worse.
Weird filler words, and distance yourself from AI as much as you can in your creative endeavors. Some of the biggest things that separate humans from AI are our creativity and improvisation. Don't let AI take that away from us. Keep fighting back by using your own voice, even if you think it sucks. Writing is at the foundation of all of my videos, and it's a...
You know what I'm saying? He looks 12. He goes from being like, a mid 20, late 20-year-old to being like, he gonna call you a slur, the Call of Duty chat. What up, Michael?
Process I have slowly fallen in love with over time. And while this channel is...
Yeah, and again, Cadillo, like people, globus, globi, globulus, whatever. It's all good. It's like, I am fine. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words cause permanent trauma.
centered around it. I love telling stories through writing, so that
And
is
you
why
should do
since
that.
the start of this year, I have been writing my very first novel. It's going to be titled Fractured Worlds, and it's about a 21-year-old navigating life in a post-pandemic world who develops the ability to shift into a parallel reality. It blends
I feel like you named it and then started writing. As someone who has written longer form content, first of all, I have a thing about naming things to begin with, right? Like, but books require or stuff requires titles, books or even articles, they require titles. I prefer to write the thing and then have the title come out of the written work, right? Like I used to do board game reviews, right? For To Die For games, and in those, right? Like I would kind of have a narrative journey while at the same time telling you about the game, right? So it's like engaging, but I'm also providing you with practical information. And then from that, I get the title of the piece.
sci-fi with psychological thriller, philosophy, and self-improvement. So if those are the types of things you're interested in, I think you'll really enjoy this book when it comes out. It's probably not going to
I will fight the fight and win the war. Dojo! Back on an 8-month. Appreciate you, homie.
be out until the start of next year, but if you want to come along with me on the journey as I write it, I give updates on my newsletter on Substack.
You're fine.
If you want to sign up for that, the link is in the description. I feel like my video, Why the Internet is So Dead Now, heavily relates to this one, so if you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy that video, which is right here. If you want to click on
the fuck? I don't know what happened. These young kids out here, from my point of view, young kids, and they're back in my day kind of shit, right? Like Nyan, Pop-Tart Nyan cat. Oh, that's been lost forever unless you look right down here because I'm keeping it. And I will die on this hill that Nyan Cat is the best YouTube progress bar, right? Like, it's him. The internet feels dead now. Because back when I was a kid, I had AOL and Newgrounds and Internet Explorer. And today it's all, Chat GPT and TikTok. And it's like, Jesus Christ, dude. It's not me. Not me. Him. Oh. I was talking about that with the wife last night, Maiko. Is just like, I don't know, for the past, like the 2-decade thing, 2005 to 2025, it does feel like everything is like weird and changing, and like we're constantly like waiting for something, like on the edge of something, but it keeps never happening. What up, Stellar Wingman? My vibes tell me that the internet is dead. It do be true. Up next, AI requires us to know and think more, says this person.
on it and support me by continuing to watch my videos. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
How much
Rough start. Let's go.
do we allow artificial intelligence to make our lives much easier? The promise of technology typically is that it makes our life better and easier. The other thought we typically have is that technology is neutral and it depends on how we use it. If you read Neil Postman's thoughts on that, like in Technopolis and other writings, you'll get a sense that this is not as easy as you think. Technology changes how we think. Technology changes the entire ecosystem in which we think. Another media theorist, Marshall McLuhan, famous for his message, the medium is the message, has also reminded us that, again, it isn't just how we use it. We may not have the choice. In our use of technology,
This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me maybe. Thank you for the follow.
we may be conditioned and condition ourselves to think differently. And this is where the biggest challenge lies right now. And of course, we don't probably really have artificial intelligence yet. We have large language models. We have algorithmic tools that make life different, that make large computations much easier, that make it easier to outsource human work to machines. Doesn't necessarily make it easier for customers. And if you think you're not using AI, you probably have, because you've probably called one of those service lines and be annoyed at, well, how little service they actually deliver if you're not getting to talk to a human being. One of the most persistent, so I'm using the word
Disagree. Again, like, I think there's a nostalgia. I think that a lot of people don't know what they want when they call a customer service line. They don't know how to articulate what their problem is. A lot of problems can actually be solved. Again, not all customer service chatbots are created equal. But again, with my cable company, I've been able to resolve a whole bunch of issues. What up, Aaron? I want to yell at a real person. I kind of think that is got something to do with it, Ponder Monkey. Is that people want it doesn't matter whether or not the AI chatbot is capable. They just want to yell at a regular person.
AI, yes. Just that's what we use as a term, even though how intelligent these tools are, we don't know yet. So one of the hopes we have is that we need to not learn that much anymore. We may not utter this hope, but that's how we use it. That's how we use technology. We seem to think, Google certainly seems to think it, when you look at the AI mode, that instead of doing research for ourselves, instead of getting knowledge for ourselves, instead of undergoing massive amount of schooling, reading, and evaluating information for ourselves, we can just ask AI, and AI will tell us.
Yeah, I got the impression that he was an academic. He's Dr. Philip Kneis, Kneis. You want to talk about how AI is a failure? Copilot just popped up and told me my daily market briefing is ready. I don't care about the market, homie. You don't know me at all. If you don't know me by now. College of Liberal Arts, Oregon State University. That's our man. politics of media, politics of Western Europe and the EU, classical political thought, modern political thought, gender and race in American political thought. It's not bad. Like, it seems to... Yeah. I got the impression he was some kind of academic because of the way that he speaks in his presentation and everything. So, yeah.
What's what? That's how people seem to be using it. People use ChatGPT and other tools to get information.
Why does nobody ever talk about the conservative arts?
Maybe to evaluate information. Though frequently we come to the point that we find that that information is wrong.
I asked, what is a fucking cheesesteak? And I got an AI overview. And I feel like if you have an authentic Philly cheesesteak, that the fucking is implied.
Because AI
Philadelphia
can only know as much as we do. Because it's not really AI, it's large language models. It doesn't perceive the world other than through the information gathered by us. And that includes good.
Not necessarily, Ponder Monkey. You might, go the fleshlight route. That's a thing you could conceivably do.
Information and bad information. And it also follows a pattern of algorithmic thinking, of either or if then. It doesn't necessarily, I would assume, allow for fuzziness, allow for thinking a little bit around the edge.
This is actually something that goes all the way back to my childhood. All my friends and my brother's friends, any of them who interacted with my father back in the day, he used a term a lot called fuzzy logic. And every single one of them, if I just say fuzzy logic, they remember a conversation that they had with my father regarding that. So I think that it's distinctly possible that that is one of the seeds of why we have this channel today. I hate this argument. Everybody perceives the world through information gathered by other people. That's how we learn. Literally. Like the transition from the oral tradition to the written tradition is what allowed us, like all the caveats, all the crime bunnies, civilization, all that, but us to develop the societies we have today, right? The fact that you can pass on language and ideas from generation to generation and even across generations, right? Like right now, any one of you, theoretically anyways, can go to like a library or a bookstore and find a book that was written 100 years ago and take that information and incorporate it into your brain. So are you saying that humans using fuzzy logic means that LLMs do via training? Right now, I would say no, right? Like generally speaking, one of the hills that the AI has to climb is that idea of fuzzy logic. That's what allows human beings to more generalize their intelligence. An AI could be very good at taking a particular thing that it knows how to do and be able to do something in an adjacent sphere, but a human being, is the one who could, like, I have this bottle of water, and fuck, if I fill this bottle of water with Coke and dropped a Mento into it, and it's got this, restricting lid, then I could fucking blast somebody with the shit, right? Like, that is something humans can do because we can extrapolate our existing patterns to stuff not even associated with it. It's a benefit that we have. It's how we have created all of this, right? Is there's a lot of that. What if we did something completely different with this thing? The AIs are not, at least as far as I can tell, they're not good at that. And in order to get to a more generalized intelligence, that's the kind of thing that I would expect to see. Yeah, no, that's all we do is experiment. We are creative all day long.
Reading things against the grain.
I'm going to go with the more common usage of the term because I don't know where my father got the term from. He read all sorts of shit. A lot of science fiction, but he also had some L. Ron Hubbard and Chariots of the Gods and Baba Ram Das and just all sort. He was all over the place. So,
As someone who is a rather disciplinary scholar, but who has some background in literary.
oh yeah, no, we absolutely do, Kadia. Like, we are capable of doing that same thing that the AI can do, right? Like, we can figure stuff out and then figure out stuff in adjacent fields and how to transfer one knowledge to the other. But it's that broader sense of like, like you could, like for an example, like fishing, right? Like if you got your fishing pole, and when you go fishing, you can attach a sinker to the hook so that it drops down, lower into the water, and you can use a bobber to keep it at a specific distance, right? Like if you have 3 feet between the hook and the bobber, and then a sinker on the other end, you know that hook is going to establish itself at about 3 feet under the surface. And if you know enough about the way that fish function in their environment, whether by observation or learning through books or what have you, then you might know that a particular kind of fish likes to operate within that distance from the surface. Also, like if you are operating maybe in like a river or a lake or a pond that's only like 4 feet deep in this section, now you're about a foot above the bottom, which, would, if you have something that's like a bottom feeder, like a catfish, then having it go about 1 foot above the bottom is going to be more tempting so that it can come up and then you can catch it. This is something that humans can do, right? Like, and I'm not like a great fisherman. I just understand some shit. And like, probably at some point in time, there was a person who threw rocks into the river and watched the rock sink. And it's like, well, what if I tied a rock to this, fishing line kind of thing? Yeah.
Theory, I know very well that if you ask the question, what is this book about? What is this movie about? What is this about? There is, of course, a straightforward answer of just telling you the plot. But then it depends on a variety of analysis tools of saying, what is this actually about? If you look at it from this perspective, if you look at it from that perspective. And a movie that may be a straightforward action movie, maybe let's take Rambo 3, suddenly becomes something much different. Suddenly there are anti-colonialist vibes in there. Suddenly there are reflections on American politics in there. Suddenly there are all kinds of other things. And then if you extrapolate that to the series, Rambo 4 makes it much more explicit. Maybe an odd example to choose, but people typically don't assume there's any brain in those movies. That's why I'm saying it. The Alien movies. Yeah, okay, scary movie, chased by a monster, blah, blah, blah. No, that's one way of seeing it. But if you look into Freudian exploitation,
Yeah, and that's the thing, Dojo. Like, I consume a lot of writing via audiobook for expediency. You know what I mean? But I understand also that there's a difference in like the parts of the brain that get activated between listening to something and reading something, right? And like now I'm getting knowledge and I don't know, I feel like maybe that there's a larger bubble that you could put both reading and audiobook performance in, and I'm not sure what you would call that, but like, is an audiobook reading, like if you pressed me on it, I would say no, right? Like it isn't, again, because it's activating different parts of the brain, and reading implies activating particular parts of the brain. Does it serve as a medium of exchange of knowledge? Absolutely, because the audiobook is actually more akin to the older, concept that we talked about earlier, the idea of the oral tradition, right? Like where someone is reading you the story out of their brain into your brain. And there are things that can go into that that don't exist within the book. If you read a book, do you have an internal monologue? Are you one of the people who, like, at last, a new ruler has shaken up the coalition that first brought him to power, and he has the right supporters in place. Money is coming in thanks to the taxes being levied. Now comes the real task of governing. That's how I read the book, right? Like, I'm putting these pacings into that. That may be reflective of the author's pacing as well. Some people are really good at getting you to read in the same way that they talk. Some are less so, like it's more that kind of thing. Some that's just reading and that's fine, but they're also, yeah, no, like the Warhammer 40K Horus Heresy series, the voice actor that they got to do that, so good at his job, so good at what he does. It's an amazing experience, and they got the same guy to go through the entire series. Very, just excellent, first rate.
Freudian perspectives, Jungian perspectives. Again, looking at this from the perspective of exploration, discovery, there are all kinds of different ideas in there. And mostly it's about how we react to it, how we collaborate, how we.
Yeah, and that's an example. When an author reads their own book, then you're definitely getting the pacing as they intended it. And there are, like, it's excellent, you know what I mean? But then there's also, like, I have found myself paying attention to different books, like when I was getting books off Audible, um, a particular voice actor, or narrator, what other books did they do? Because I love to hear them speak, and I love the way that they do the thing, and so I want more of that, right? And if I can get it in like the same genre or something like that, then it's plus plus plus.
Figure out a solution. So there's some political level in there. Can an AI do that? Maybe, if it's intelligent. But typically what we get, what our expectation is towards AI, What we are now taught to think like is algorithmical, is either ors, is just give me the answer and then I know and I don't have to think anymore. We use AI to stop us from thinking, oftentimes. We use AI because we don't feel the need to learn anymore. Those who warn us about AI ask the question, what do we do if it gets to be smarter than us? And that's a legitimate question. You see people who have caused it use something called autopilot, even though it says clearly that it's not used, should not be used as an autopilot.
Well, that's again, he's an academic, and the name of the video is AI requires us to know and think more, not less. So what I think he's doing here is setting up the argument, right? He's steel manning the arguments, and then hopefully in the end of this video, he is going to explain why you in fact have to do more. That's part of the whole thing.
Still use it as such. People plop themselves in their car, flip that switch autopilot, and apparently fall asleep at the wheel, literally. That's not how it's supposed to be used for. The name suggests you could, and so people do. What we are in for, even with our current version of AI, the large language models, and any other future AI, is that we are going to be in competition with something more knowledgeable and probably smarter than us. How do we compete with this? We can't compete by outsourcing all our responsibility.
And I think the take is fair, even if he wasn't, like one of the things we always have to remember to do is that when we are talking about these things, is we have to remove ourselves from the center of the conversation, right? Yeah, exactly, Kadia. Like while you can use AI to learn more efficiently, to get access to the information that you might not get access to otherwise. There's a whole bunch of positives in the use of AI in the fundamentals of learning. There are also people who will choose, for a variety of reasons, and I'm not going to invalidate any of those reasons, to take shortcuts or whatever. Because if what you are asking me for, to put myself in the other person's shoes, if what you're asking me for is an answer, then my only obligation to you is to provide you with an answer. It is not to understand and know. So I need to provide you with that answer as quickly and efficiently as possible so that I can get back to doing the other things that maybe I'm actually interested in, or maybe I have a whole queue of people who want me to provide them with a particular answer, right? And I just need to provide them with an answer. A lot of work is that, right? Like, especially white collar work. You find yourself in situations where, how's that report looking, right? So all you need is to provide that person with a report. My knowledge, my understanding of what's in the report isn't actually required for that, as long as the report is good. And there are advantages for me to understand whether or not the report is good. Ultimately, the only person that it matters if the report is good is the person I'm submitting the report to. So it creates an environment where my incentives, what up, Iggy? My incentives are to provide you with the information that you desire as quickly and efficiently as possible. That's not an issue of a person not wanting to learn stuff. That is an issue of the way the system is currently constructed. Some people use AI to make repetitive tasks easier, but you can absolutely use the tool to learn. Yes. I see people doing it often these days. They just type a question in and read the AI overview. They don't check sources. They don't cross-reference. They don't even think about it critically at all. Lots of people doing that. There are, right? Because, again, for that reason, you can take that little story that I just told and apply it all over the place, right? Like, you got pulled over by a cop. What do you want to do in that situation? You want the easiest, most efficient process whereby you can be back along your day, right? You just, here's my license, here's my registration, here's my proof of insurance, whatever you need. Yes, sir, no, sir, no, sir. Because you don't want to have the interaction with the cop. There's no joy, there's no experience in that you really want to do. Your only goal is to move this along as quickly and efficiently as possible so you can get back on your day. What up, Ed? Yeah, they do treat it like a search engine shortcut. And for a lot of things, to be real, it is, right? Like, how important is the answer that you're looking for? Again, what is a fucking cheesesteak? A cheesesteak, often called the Philly cheesesteak, is a sandwich consisting of thinly sliced pieces of beefsteak and melted cheese in a long hoagie roll. It is a popular regional fast food that originated in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, according to Wikipedia. Good enough, right? Do I need more than that? Do I need to go in depth? Do I need to click on the link for this particular conversation? No. Well, as you go into stuff that might require nuance, then yeah, you're going to want to look into the thing. But that's where critical thinking and media literacy comes into play as to analyzing what you're looking at and whether or not I actually need to go more in depth with this. That kind of thing.
By assuming we don't need to know anything.
That's I have not eaten anything today other than coffee and water. Just because like I chose to sleep in so that I can be up later. By the way, this evening at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, James from the Internet, Redolin Thought, That One Black Guy, and your humble host, Globus the Elder, will be having a conversation panel, tier list, fucking shenanigans. Should be a wonderful time, and you should be there. I do believe I will be going live. I'm sure the Red is going live. It's probable T1 is going live. I don't know if James is going to go live for that one. So make sure you're following me.
Anymore. We don't need to think anymore. The opposite is true. AI is a system-wide challenge to us to become even more educated.
Well, Pharaoh, you'll be able to watch the VOD because the VOD will be up because all the VODs are up. I'm going to let this run. I have to go pee because I hydrate.
To become even more knowledgeable, because now we don't just have to check the information given us by other humans. We have to also check the information given to us by machines that are collecting information from other humans. It's up to us to think critically. It's up to us to evaluate critically, which means AI may make the job easier for us a little bit, like in the olden days when people had secretaries, bosses had secretaries. And you would give your secretary something and they would do some work and then you would get it back. That's what AI is. But we can never outsource our thinking completely to AI. Everything you get by AI, you need to critically question and evaluate. And in order to do so, we need to do our work. If we don't, then we just give up. We can just give up. Because then we are basically saying we are outsourcing everything that's special about human beings to a machine. I don't think I want to be there yet, if ever. And we also need to be prepared for AI to become something more like a living thing. We are already seeing strange processes. We are seeing AI lies. Why does it lie? Why does it hallucinate? These are things, these are terms we use for human beings. We see these quasi-neural networks that AI or large language models are building, or are being built for it, doing things that are very human, doing things that are very much like organic life. So what we may have to think about here is we are creating another person. One, not out of flesh and blood, but one built with our machinery. Still, the same challenge is there. But if we see AI as a person, as an entity, it will have biases, it will have blind spots, it will have lacks of knowledge. Maybe that image makes it a little bit clearer what we're up to. So if you think AI lets you be lazy, no. AI makes life even more challenging. It may make it easier here and there, but you can't outsource your thinking. You can't outsource your knowledge gathering. Thank you very much. That's it. This is Dr. Phil Kneis. This is Erratic Attempts. Like and subscribe if you want. Otherwise, see you soon. Bye.
Like and subscribe if you want. Otherwise, and you can hear it. You can hear it. Go fuck yourself. Here is, if you want this, especially wrong side or right, like to watch it in its continuity. I like him. I like people who, academics and all that. He's a small guy, but he kept it nice, tight, 12 minutes. I think he got his point across. We like that. You believe in hyperspace automated lifestyle where we live and the machines work for us? I believe is a way you could put it. The theory, no, not books, you dummy. Do you even understand how your own stream runs? The contained within this list of books is Fully Automated Luxury Communism and Aaron Bastani, and there are other books in there as well that I think that we could get to a point where machines do all the work and we can do as we wish. I don't see any reason we couldn't do that on a long enough timeline, right? Assuming all that stuff gets to the point where, it is capable. It is a question of capability. I don't believe there's any ethical concerns with the tools, the AI, the robots doing all the work. As long as they are not conscious in any way, kind of thing. That's always an issue. Okay, we've got a little over 20 minutes. We can definitely do this one. Up next, philosophy is the last subject worth studying.
Hey everyone, today I want to talk about why with AI, philosophy has become an incredibly important to study. And I'll even go a bit stronger, maybe why it's the last subject worth studying. And I'll begin with a little story. So I have a friend who's a very accomplished philosopher and computer science. He's been a veteran in the in the ML world, and he's been studying philosophy academically and on his own for decades as well. He's recently been hired by a company to design its own like chatbot, so you can think about it like that. And you might think, right, he's being hired for his technical expertise, that they're training a model from scratch, that they're doing some fancy architectural thing. At least he's touching the code. But it's actually because, and again, he's like one of the world's leading like ML experts. But he's actually been hired just to take an off-shelf model and to prompt it. So in other words, he was hired for his philosophical expertise, despite how advanced he was on the ML side. And so I want to draw a distinction now between the semantic world, the semantic way with words of engaging with the world, and the numeric way of engaging with the world, right?
I'm not sure of the ones you're talking about, so if you have an example you want to post in chat, feel free.
So the numeric way is on the foundation of the hard sciences, it's engineering, computer science, physics, whereas the semantic way is the foundation of the humanities. This is rhetoric, poetry, and the semantic way, this is my claim of why philosophy is going to become so important, it's going to become so much more powerful of a way to engage with the world, because for the first time in human history, I think the way that we best manipulate technology is the semantic way through these LLMs, and no longer the numeric way, or at least there's going to be a relative shift in power. And I'll just give you an example, or another example of this kind of Copernican shift in the 18th century.
It's the walking vlog, Cadillo. It has a particular vibe to it, and I get it, you know. That's definitely a name of a channel that you could use. Wow, I got I've got some views based on these thumbnails, and like, holy shit. What up, Brad? Yeah. 213,000 subscribers.
My circuitry's 12 years out of date. I can't keep up with today's high-speed, top-of-the-line kids.
Ben, thank you for gifting one to Bread. Ah, the subtle miscreant that Bread is.
So Rousseau was writing his first discourses, and there was one paragraph where he was critiquing the hard sciences. So the first discourses is his critique about arts and the sciences. And Rousseau says, what will we lose if philosophers never figured out how gravity works between bodies? What will we lose if philosophers never figured out how beetles are mating and how the mind communicates with the body? And Rousseau's point, and he was right at the time, was that the hard sciences were kind of useless. You know, we spent 2,000 years at the point studying how beetles mate, and, you know, all the way from Aristotle and his advances in biology.
Thank you. Like, as it left my mouth, I was worried that you might take it other than how it was intended. It was intended with nothing but love, and you took it that way, and I am happy. Loud does a nice job of not picking up any moving air. Yeah, no, like, I don't have any critiques of his sound. I think he did an excellent job with that. I'm also just, I'm kind of also done with the walking vlog. I understand why you would do it, right? It is an efficient form of content creation. I'm going to go for a walk, right? And in that walk, I'm going to have 8 to 10 minutes that I could do a fucking thing. And it's also like walking kind of separates your physical from your mental so that you can think about other things. There's a whole bunch of reasons to do it. And I'm not angry about it. I don't know.
What has that given us? And the answer, again, in the 18th century, correctly, was nothing. That these things are useless, they're impotent. And it's only been through technology in the last, let's say, 200 years that the numeric world, the hard science way of engaging with the world.
Sorry, Ponder Monkey. Thank you for the subscription for a month. I was waiting. I was waiting for an alert. And Twitch once again has failed. And none of it makes sense. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I don't have any reason. Oh shit.
Has become incredibly powerful.
Maybe that's it. Somebody said something that you have to type in, and hit the enter, and if you just did it and didn't do the thing, then yes. But the Globus never sleeps.
Without understanding gravity, we couldn't have made airplanes. We couldn't have developed our current global communication network. Studying how beetles mate literally has produced non-toxic, superior pesticides, pest control. And of course, studying our relationship between our mind and our body and neural interfaces has literally made the blind see and the crippled walk.
And yeah, right there, you can tell he's doing a lap, right? He just did his turnaround on there. So yeah.
Right, so it's Old Testament, biblically miraculous stuff. And my claim is that the same kind of shift is going to happen for those who are masters of the semantic mode of engaging with the world. So the humanities way of engaging with the world has always been powerful, because it's given people control over the human world, right? And this is the easiest to see in rhetoric. And this is why, by the way, before, let's say, the 18th century, and you thought about what an elite education was. Today, that's STEM, right? The best minds going to STEM. But for the longest time, it was in the humanities. I think partially because of this kind of power. It's starting to rain very heavily. Now, my claim is that with AI, with LLMs, our ability to manipulate it will, as the example of my friend goes to show, will come from our semantic powers more so than our numeric powers. Or at least the relative weight will change. And of course, I think philosophy is probably one of the best ways to train that semantic power. But this is actually, I think, the minor reason, right? The lesser of the two reasons why philosophy may be so important to study. Because in this case, I'm still painting the power of philosophy instrumentally, right? I'm still treating philosophy as what is called a techne, right? So techne means a craft or an art, and it's about instrumentally getting things done in the material world. But philosophy, I think, also has the power, or rather, is the only discipline that can give us phronesis. This is what technique is contrasted against, and that means practical wisdom. The things that we need to know to sort of live well. So here's a way to cut it. I couldn't care less, okay, who it is that solves cancer. Whether it's I that solves cancer, whether it's someone else, whether it's an AI that solves cancer. I just need cancer resolved. But there are many things, there are many truths in the world that I need to be the one holding the truths for it to work. So here's an example. How should I relate with my wife? Is my wife, let's say, a mere tool to get offspring? Is she a friend? Is she a business partner? Is she all of these things? Is she my equal? Is she my superior? Is she my inferior? these propositional statements, right, unlike the propositions around the treatment of cancer, I need to be the one who holds it in my soul for me to live a good life, if that makes sense. And because of this, I think your work in philosophy will never be made obsolete by AI, by even AGI. Because what AGI is, right? Another way to say AGI is to say the end of techne, the end of craft. Anything instrumental that you want done in the real world, a computer can do it better. But there are, right, and so we might, loosely.
So, like, on a philosophical level, I dispute this, the use of the term craft. Now, craft under a particular term, again, like I talked about, the AI in the utopian best case scenario, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, the AI should make sure that everyone, for instance, who needs a cane has a cane, right? Like that everyone who needs a walking stick has a walking stick. However, the artist will always be able to handcraft a particular cane, a particular walking stick for a particular person, right? Or even just to do it. And then again, like to me, right, the ideal state of artist that I would like to have is having a shop in which the back part is where I create the art and the front part is where the art exists. And then those who want to come in, find a piece of art that worked for them, that spoke to them, they could then take that and take it home with them. You know what I mean? That is the ideal state of being. And then I would be able to continue to make the art because the resources required to make art are provided to me. But the idea, it depends on how he meant craft, right? Because he's using terms like technique and craft, and he could be just the idea that the AI can make the walking stick for everyone. But again, the artist can always make something individual. Disagree with the semantics here. AGI does not equal machines can do better in real world crafting. AGI equals artificial intelligence, embodied or not. They can reason and learn on an equivalent level as general humans. That is one definition, yeah. And yeah, but that's the thing is we've entered the realm of philosophy and we've entered the realm of conversation. So, like, ideally this would need to be a back and forth type situation. I understand, but it's not the only definition, right? Other people have different definitions. Both newer definitions and definitions can change over time. What a word meant 30 years ago does not necessarily mean it's what the word means today. The word, I can say word. And those all mean different things. You have to probably be like from the 90s, but you understand that dude, word.
Split knowledge into these two kinds. Knowledge instrumentally held to get things done in the external world, right? What is the origin of cancer? What is its resolution? And knowledge that is held for its own sake. Knowledge that is held because in order to even be a human being, in order to act and live, you need to hold certain propositions.
It is semantic, but that's where philosophy
I make fun of the Stoics a lot, but here I actually think their model of the human soul can be helpful. Where they treat the human soul as a series of rational propositions, and that the point of Stoic philosophy is to correct the propositions that are wrong, right? So, for example, you might think pain is an evil. Pain is actually not an evil. We don't have to go into all of that. But what I'm trying to say here is that philosophy, at least part of what philosophy addresses, are these foundational claims you need to make a decision on and that you need to hold in order to live a good life. And it's not just instrumental knowledge. Okay, and so those are the two reasons why I think philosophy has become more important in the age of AI, and also why it might be the last discipline worth studying, right? Because when AGI comes, again, it's the end of techne. You don't need to study computer science, you don't need to study the chemical engineering. These things can all be done better, but you still need to decide how to treat your friends, how to live life. Yeah, okay, I hope you found that interesting.
Whenever I curse my eyes with the word...
Hold on. We're looking at 5 minutes. We're going to carry this into tomorrow. I have the AI singularity as a smokescreen. You're not an artist. You're just another algorithm victim. When AI takes every job, what happens next? AI ends consumerism, but who gets the abundance? Is global AI cooperation even possible? How to survive the AI era as an artist? This AI slop has got to stop. The AI wasteland of YouTube shorts, possibly getting into this design theory video. We got a bunch of content for tomorrow. But we are coming up on the end. Hold on, dude. You want to come up? You can come up here. You want to sit in your seat? You want to say hi to everybody? Perfect. Perfect. Oh, you want snacks? Tell your cats I said. Stampy snacks do 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 do. Stampy snacks do 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 do. Stampy snacks do 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 do. Stampy snacks. Some snacks do 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 do. Some snacks do 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 do. Some snacks do 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 do. Eat some snacks. Are you happy, buddy? Show him the face. Show him the face. Oh, right here. There it is. Gotta give him the goods. I hope you all enjoyed this episode today. We had a wonderful time. I had a wonderful time. Are those snack shark? Yes. And they are under 2 calories per treat. Made with real dolphin. Oh, if you could read my mind, love. 3 minutes. What do we do for 3 minutes? What do we do for 3 minutes? Besides get caught up in the wires. Down to 180. Freestyle. I cannot rap. My raps sound like crap. Cat in the Hat. I don't know how to do that. But I bust them out. Yeah, I mean, you could always do that. There is a new contest going on Suno for for any of you who use Suno, the stem extractor used to suck. It is now very, very good. Like, listen to this. It's very clean, right? Here's the vocals. So you can hear the timing.
Yeah. What? Robot in a human skull helmet, jogging through synthetic tapestries. Pixelated sunset shade, the soft will pulsed hell from me. Peaceful, not harmless, the sword sheath edge thought sharpest. River whispers secrets, I bend to listen as his heart dripped. Fish in a balloon, swimming laps through the lunacy. I pause my art to be here, but this 2-week notice looms for me personal.
Right? It's good stuff. Good stuff. All right. Perfect. Green sleeves. Alas, my love, you do me wrong. To cast me off dispersion. For I have loved you oh so long, delighting in your company. My tonal quality success. Where is he? It's Wednesday. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the tsunami, but fucking shit. Is James not streaming today? It's 12:01. It is Wednesday, right? Volcano erupted in Russia. Did he say that he was going to be at the doctor? I mean, it's fine. I just would have liked to know because, you know, I like timing. Timing. And I know a bunch of you are here because I rate into James, and that is for convenience. He said something about something. I mean, earlier today. Okay. I just got the alert. I looked down and at 11:58 he posted in the group chat for the thing that's happening later today. Again, we'll be back at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific to do the panel, and we'll have a wonderful time. Yeah. In the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Chuggy loves you. So do I. Be great.